This world is really about like consistency and being out there, and so I think not putting everything out at once and really just releasing things one at a time, letting each song have its moment, is a good choice.
Awesome. Well, I am Adam, and it's so nice to meet you. And this podcast is about you and your journey in music. And you've got a couple of new songs out I'd love to talk to you about. And working with Jenna Andrews, who I've had a chance to interview, and she's amazing. So I'd love to hear about your experience working with her. And we'll talk about the music videos you put out and all of that fun stuff.
Okay, amazing.
Sweet. So you were born and raised in LA. Obviously, you talk about it in the first song you put out.
Yeah, I was born and raised in LA. I grew up in like Laurel Canyon area, and then I went to school, high school and middle school and stuff in the Valley. So I was
Mhm.
like a Valley girl mixed with like I always like had a house and a home on like this side of the hill, the west side. So it was
Mhm.
like I was growing up in the Valley with school, and then I was like really in the heart of LA, which is West Hollywood, I feel like. But
Sure. But you have to get to school, which is always, I'm from San Diego, and I know LA very well, as far as like the nightmare it becomes just to get anywhere. And in Los Angeles, it'll take you days. Like, was that something that took forever to get to school in the morning, or?
Laurel Canyon's kind of right in between West Hollywood and Studio City. So
Okay.
it didn't take me that long because I was already kind of like halfway
Halfway
there.
there. Got you. Okay. Just curious. So tell me about growing up with, music. I know your mom is a songwriter and was involved in music. Uh, is that how you got into music, or how did you get into music? Do you remember your first memories?
Yeah, I always loved music. I did like musical theater and stuff when I was really young. Just like small little acting workshop places.
Mhm.
And I loved music a lot, and my mom sang. I grew up watching her on stage and stuff, as well as my grandma owned this club called the Anti Club, which was like a famous rock and roll like place where bands would come play. I think the Red Hot Chili Peppers played there, a bunch of
Wow.
other like cool
That's
um,
rad. I didn't know that.
yeah, like rock and roll scene. It's closed down now, but at
Sure, but
in the 80s it
it
was
was a
like
spot.
a spot for sure. And I think I was a baby going there, so that might have played some influence in on me too, because
Yeah.
as a little kid just like seeing all this like live music.
I bet you saw so many bands that are just like gigantic at this point. Like
For
when you were a
sure.
baby, like Chili Peppers playing some of the early shows there.
I don't even really remember it, but I'm sure it had some kind of, oh no, a cat.
Hi, kitty cat.
I'm sure it had some kind of impact on me. But yeah, as far as like music goes, I definitely think that my mom impacted me. And then also, like, I don't know, I think I always had an like affinity for like making stuff and creating things. I think I
Mhm.
said when I was younger, I was like, I want to be a scientist because I wanted to be able to like create things out of nothing and invent things. And I think that in a weird way, that is what songwriting became. It became a way for me to like create things out of thin air. And
Sure. I mean, if you think about it, how wild is it that just a song just comes out? You can go into a room and this thing doesn't exist, and when you leave, like there's a song that millions of ears could potentially hear.
it's so true. Like you start the day with nothing, or maybe even just a word or two, and then you leave with something that could impact a bunch of people or even just yourself. Like there's nothing better than writing a song and being like, this is exactly how I'm feeling right now.
Right. Or hearing a song and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is exactly what I needed at this moment. Or it's just there's such a massive impact that music can
Yeah.
have on people. It's so cool.
Do you mind? Sorry, I have a kitty cat here that's trying to just be on camera the whole time. Can I
Let's go
go
ahead.
away quickly?
Yeah, move the cat. It's fine with me.
She's like, I want to be on the podcast. This is Penelope. This is my sister's kitty.
Oh, hi, Penelope.
Yes, hold on one second.
Awesome.
But yeah, as far as music, I think I was obsessed with artists
Hmm.
as a little girl. Uh, whether that be like Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera or Justin Bieber. Like I got like so transfixed by them. I just love their talent and their abilities, and I was like, this is amazing. And there was a part of me that I don't know if I believed that I could do it myself, so maybe I thought I was going to be in like whatever management or something to do with music, but I knew I loved music, and I just didn't know where my place was in that. And then I started songwriting, and I was like, okay, I feel like if I keep going, I could do something with this.
For sure. I feel like some people just, yeah, you just have that, like, it's almost like you can foresee, like, you know, that this is gonna like work. It's not that it's gonna definitely work out. You just like know, like, I'm gonna be involved in this in some capacity. I don't, you know, it doesn't matter. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know where I fit in, but I know I'm drawn to this thing, and
Sure.
it was in my blood. Like my mom was singing all around the house growing up. We were like harmonizing as little girls. My sister too was a singer, and she actually was like discovered at a really young age, at like 16, by a bunch of, I think a bunch of bigger labels like had interest in her in a really young age. So I saw that, and I think we were just always humming things and writing little tunes, and it just like became what it is now.
Are you older or younger than your sister?
Yeah, I'm the older sister.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and we actually were in a duo together.
I did see that. I didn't know. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about
It
that. I don't know
never
if you
come
can.
to life. Like it never got its chance. Basically, I went to NYU for a bit.
Okay.
In the Clive Davis music program.
Oh
And
wow. I want to. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Could we rewind? Because that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Okay. So you are writing, or you knew that you wanted to do this in some capacity. You liked, you know, Christina Aguilera, Bieber, all those people. And did you like, did you play piano or anything like that? Or like, did your parents put you towards music in that way, or not really?
My parents were amazing in the fact that they were not like I think a lot of parents where they just kind of were like whatever you're interested in.
Oh,
Go
that's
do it.
cool.
But it was
Sure.
cool, but I kind of am like, shoot, like I wish you had forced me to finish the
Yeah, right.
it would have helped me in my musical knowledge now.
But
I
it could have like done the opposite, right? I mean, if they're like, you have to go to piano lessons every day, and you just like, you're like, I never want to do this ever again.
yeah, no, that definitely happens. They did not do that. I took piano lessons, I took guitar lessons, I took dance classes, I did whatever my heart was. I did photography, like whatever my heart was feeling that week or that month. And I definitely, I think I stuck with piano a little bit more consistently than anything else for a time being. And then I think my senior year of high school, I was like, I really feel like I gravitate towards the guitar more. I just like the way it feels. I like that it has some like percussion elements to it. So I was like, I'm gonna.
And you can bring it around, right? I mean, you could just throw it in your car, and it's kind of hard lugging a keyboard around or a piano, you know, if you took it that far. But so you were playing. I mean, it's obviously you were doing it quite a bit then. If you were playing piano and then even guitar up to senior year.
Yeah, no, I was, but I don't think I was very good at it. I just like, I kind of dabbled. I was like, I think what some people would call like a producer level piano playing. Like I just knew some chords and I could mess around. But as far as like really having in-depth musical knowledge, I wasn't there yet.
Sure.
And yeah, I think it was a combination, but the piano was definitely a good base for me when I started to like transfer over to guitar, because there was a lot of stuff that's like a little less like laid out for you on a guitar, and knowing the piano stuff helped me figure out the guitar easier. So
I'm sure. Yeah, I had a friend in high school that he was a fantastic piano player, and then he knew I'm terrible at guitar. I could play chords, but he knew I could play guitar a little bit, and then he took like literally a weekend. He comes back, he can do all the finger picking, he can play. I'm like, the years I've been trying to do any of this, he's got it like in a second. But he was just fantastic. He's talented, but I mean, it was just wild that his brain could already just go, oh, okay, I know what this sounds like on a piano. So
Yeah, yeah. I was definitely like because I think nobody forced me to do anything. My work ethic as a child was just it was medium. It wasn't like I wasn't like one of those obsessed kids that was like I'm gonna sit here for 10 hours a day and do this. It was just kind of like, oh, I like this. I'm gonna spend my hour a day doing this, and then I'm gonna go run in the field and be with my friends. I was like a
sure.
very norm for a living and growing up in LA. I feel like I had a very normal childhood.
Which is great. Which is great because you can hear other stories of that, or you know, vice versa or whatever. But that's it's interesting that you know, it sounds like, were you writing music through high school, like to be a piano player and then kind of go to guitar and then go to Clive Davis? I want to hear about that, kind of how that all came together. But were you writing before you got into college?
I was writing a little bit. I was writing enough. I had a couple songs that I had done. My mom, who also songwrites, was kind of helping me whenever I get stuck on ideas. And I think that I was in some kind of like school band situation.
Like with friends, like a
It was like almost like an elective. It was like a
oh,
band.
okay, wasn't like a you and your friends like a little garage band.
No, I wish. I always wanted that. I was always looking for that, and I didn't know how to manifest it into my life. But that's what
Okay.
I was like, I want to, yeah, I want somebody to be like you, and you're going to be in a girl band, and it's going to be great.
Right. Okay. But you were in like an elective band at school.
Yeah, and I think mostly my senior and junior year, I took a step back from my like social life a little bit. In high school, and I was like, I'm gonna just focus on the things that are important to me, and because I knew music was something that I like loved, and I just felt like if I just focused a little bit more, I could make something of it, and that's when I started writing more, and then yeah, I got into Clive, and I took a gap year before I went there because I just felt like I feel like a late bloomer in general, like I don't know. I really don't think I had myself figured out. I don't know.
No one does. I mean, at 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, like who knows what you're gonna do? Like, okay, you've got to declare your major and this and that. It's
crazy.
It's so well. Okay, so I recently moved to Nashville. I'm from San Diego, and my son is in ninth. He went into ninth grade this year,
Oh,
and
wow.
he had like the school here. You had to declare your like major for the high school. It was like the weirdest thing. So you had to like select your like path, and you couldn't steer from it. And you basically, so you're 14 and you're like, okay, I want to try to do graphic arts or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
you know how much you change in such a little
So much.
time.
So
It-
much. It's insane. I thought college was really going to be like, okay, now you get to go to college and you get to after all these years of doing math and science and English and history, like now you get to study what you want to study. And
right.
you get to explore the corners of your mind that you are excited about. And when I got to college and it wasn't that, and it was
Yeah, they're like, here's another math class. You're like, what the hell am I paying for this for?
I don't think I can. I don't know. Yeah. So I definitely felt like I was frustrated with that.
Mhm.
'Cause I love learning. It's my favorite thing. I love being inspired. I love growing and talking to people that know more than me. It's my favorite thing. But yeah, when college wasn't that, I was sad.
Sure. So
But obviously I learned a lot too.
but did you go in? Was that at Clive Davis still? Like, I don't know. Did they make you
Yeah.
learn math and all that?
Maybe not math, but I did have some classes. I was like, I don't want to do this.
Right.
I loved Clive. I thought the teachers were amazing and the program was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But for me at the time, I was so interested in wanting to become a better songwriter. And I don't think we were able to take songwriting classes until a little later on in the program.
Oh, sure.
Or even just the electives you wanted. I think I only had one performance class my freshman year, and everything else was like engineering and production and all the stuff that I was like, okay, this would be great skill, but once I master the skill that I'm actually
Right.
I was
Right.
spending
I want to learn how to write the song, and then I'll figure out how to record it and produce it later.
Yeah, engineer it and work with all this like analog stuff.
Sure.
I was spending so many hours a day. I think I had one class that felt like it was like 6 hours long. It probably wasn't, but it felt like so long, and I was like, I'm spending so much time on this thing that I don't know if I want to do this. So I did end up leaving early.
Okay. Did you have to audition to get into school, or like
You
was
have
there
to
a
send
process to get in?
a tape, like a tape with a bunch of your music, and it's so long ago now, but
Mhm.
an interview, I think, just some live performance videos, just and
I
then
always find that fascinating that you have to kind of go through these jumps. Like when I interview people that have been to Berkeley or NYU or whatever, there's always a different story. Some people are like, yeah, they just let me in, or it's like I had to do like sight reading and do all these weird, tests. And there's just such a spectrum of different ways people are able to get into these schools. That's what I was curious. That's cool though. You had to submit a tape. Did you submit your own songs?
yeah, some of my own songs from when I was younger. Looking back, I'm like, how did I was so bad, and
They
I
see potential though. Obviously you weren't. You're doing it now. You know what I mean?
that's true. That's true. And I do think like yeah, I was really shy too. So it's like I probably I don't know. I feel like being immersed in this like program with all these people that I'm like, oh my God, they're so talented, and I was definitely like a little um, shy my first year too.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
With you were talking about your mom would help you kind of when you got stuck on a part. Was that something like did you like when you were writing a song, say in high school? I know like it could be difficult to depending on the subject matter, like to present something to your family member and be like, "Hey, I'm trying to write this, love song or whatever. Like, can you help me out?" Did you ever have like any of those moments with that or not at all?
My parents and I are really close.
That's good.
My mom is like my best friend.
Okay.
She's the sweetest, most amazing human being. And I think that I was in a pretty crazy, intense relationship at a really young age.
Hmm.
I think I started dating somebody when I was like 15, and we stayed dating till I was like 21 or something.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Uh, maybe that's a little off, but it felt like it was a
But
long
still,
time.
I mean, that's like all of high school and then into college
Yeah,
years. I
into
mean, that's a
college.
lot of
It was,
your
yeah,
adolescent time, with one
yeah.
person.
My whole like going from a kid to an adult, I was in a relationship.
Right. Okay.
Um, and I think that she definitely saw all of that firsthand. So she was definitely able to like be like, well, give some perspective on like if I had an idea or whatever. She just kind of
Hmm.
encouraged me more so
That's
than
cool.
anything. But I was super open with sharing because I just wanted to like be good and get
Yeah.
better. I was like, you want to hear this? I'll
That's
tell
cool. Yeah, because a lot of people wouldn't be able to be vulnerable, like that vulnerable with their family. Like, okay, mom, this is this, you know what I mean? Like, here's
you.
a song about this, or even people that don't have musician family members or songwriter family members that are just afraid to play what they had written, or like, oh, what are they going to think of these lyrics that I had written down?
Yeah, I definitely think if you maybe grew up not in a musical home, it would probably be that way.
Sure,
But
sure.
I watched my mom pour her heart out in so many songs, talking about my dad and their relationship and her heartaches. And she had an ex boyfriend like pass away, like super crazy. He shot himself on a set, and like she's had so many crazy experiences, and she put that all in her music. So
Yeah, I
I
did
know.
read that. I couldn't even imagine. Like,
No, it was really traumatizing for her, and obviously wasn't even in the picture yet, but
right, right. But still, I mean, that's a lot to carry. I mean, wow.
yeah, yeah,
Well, moving like forward a bit here. So you go to NYU and you ended up not, you said you didn't finish and
yeah.
you leave. Are you writing songs like at what point were you in your music career, your journey
So
at that point when you left? And did you come back to LA or did you stay in New York?
yes, so I was at NYU, and I didn't feel like I found my place there. I loved New York, and I loved learning, but maybe the grade I was into, I just didn't feel like I had found my people, and
Hmm.
that's what I was really searching for too, aside from like music and developing myself. Like I really wanted that feeling of friendship and belonging. And I didn't feel like I found that in my grade, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what I did was I started seeking, like, outside of the school help, and I ended up finding a woman who ended up being an amazing like songwriting mentor for me in New York. So I spent like, I don't know, like a couple times a week just at her place. She'd help me with, she was a singing coach and a songwriter, and we'd sit there and I'd bring in ideas, and then she'd give me feedback, and then I'd leave and I'd come back with new ideas or revise things, and she really helped me get to a place where I felt like I had a better grasp of songwriting and how to tell a story. And I don't know, she definitely gave me like the fundamentals
Mm-hmm.
of melody and lyrics, and she helped
Yeah,
me
it
a
sounds
lot
like she was teaching you everything you wanted to learn
in
in
school.
the college.
It's what I had at the moment. And she ended up putting me in a couple sessions, and just like it just got my feet wet in
Mm-hmm.
a more professional setting. We wrote some songs that I was really proud of at the time. And it was like the first things that I was like, I love this. Like, this is me. This is who I am. And I was so hyped on them. And I just couldn't find the right people to produce them because I didn't have a big enough network of
Mm-hmm.
artists in my world and
Sure.
the realm that I wanted to be in. But that definitely got me started in having something to show for myself. I was like,
Yeah, and some confidence, like, oh,
yeah,
I can do this. Here's some songs that I'm really proud of. It's not just stuff that I wouldn't, want to show anyone.
show anyone. Yeah. It was great. And then actually I always thought I was going to be an actor. Um,
Okay.
I had been acting in acting classes like my whole childhood and auditioning since I was like 15. And I did some roles here and there, nothing too crazy. But I always was like, my sister is the singer and I'm the
Mm-hmm.
actor. And songwriting became like a passion, and that's why I followed it. And I definitely felt like I was drawn to music and I wanted to pursue it, and that's why I went to school for it.
Mm-hmm.
I was also like auditioning and stuff in New York. And I think a accumulation of the things with the school not feeling like where I belonged, and
Mm-hmm.
acting being mostly, there are some stuff, there's a lot of stuff happening in New York, but I just felt like more stuff was happening in LA. And I
Sure.
felt like I needed to come home. Plus, my family was all home, and I was searching for belonging. And I was like, maybe I'm gonna go back to LA, and that's what I
And
did.
you're clear across the entire United States. I mean, you're literally on the other side.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
So I
I
can
just
imagine, yeah, it could get lonely or it's homesick, and especially if you aren't finding the people that you were looking for, or like a kind of a group of people that you wanted to hang with. Like, yeah, that'd be hard for anyone. Just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna head back, right?
Yeah, I definitely made some amazing friends in New York, and it was really sad leaving because I felt like I had just planted my seeds there, and then I
Mm.
was like, I'm going back, and then I was like, I'll be back and forth, and I really wasn't. I was like full in LA, doing gigs, playing
Oh
at
wow.
Hotel Cafe, and uh, like the Peppermint Club, and just like anywhere I could get a gig. I think I did an open mic at some bar in LA, and somebody was like, "Do you want to do a full set here?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then from that, somebody was like, "Oh, I have a friend who's a booking agent at Hotel Cafe. Do you want to do a show there?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And I just kept following the next thing. Um,
And were you playing your own songs or half like covers, or did you have
yeah,
enough for a set of your own
I
songs?
was playing the songs that I had written with
Oh wow.
girl,
Okay.
and some covers and new stuff I was writing, anything I had at the time.
But you
Um,
didn't have anything. You weren't like physically like release. You didn't release
no,
that those songs that you had written because you said that you didn't have anyone that could that
yeah,
produced it and no one in that world yet.
yeah,
Did those songs ever come out at any time or no?
no. I actually do think I had something right before college that I forgot to mention.
Okay.
Right before college, I released 2 songs by myself, and they're
Okay.
off the internet now, thank God, because they're so cringy. I can't stand them. I'm so happy that no one saw them because it would have been
They
nuts.
aren't that bad, I'm sure. But was that must have been big though to put those songs out there in high
Yeah.
school and just hear, that were people or your friends or acquaintances, groups of people that you knew, were they did they know you're a songwriter and were they like, oh wow, like this is rad that you're putting stuff out, or was that a shock to people or
I think it was like a little bit of shock. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what they expected. I know my ex-boyfriend at the time was like really unsupportive and was like, "What are you doing?"
he knew you were gonna get famous and he didn't want to be, you know what I mean? He's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna lose her if she starts doing, writing these songs and then she's gonna get big. And I mean,
I was also so much finding my bearings. Like I didn't know who I was. I feel like as a musician, I didn't know who I was. And now I have a little bit more clear feeling of like what my taste is, what my style is, the songs I want to sing, the feelings I want to portray, who I am, more so than I did then. And
sure.
I was just like kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what would happen. And yeah, I think that's also one of the things that helped me get into NYU too, is I had this like fancy polished thing that was able to showcase me as a performer.
Hmm. So,
Um,
sorry, go ahead.
no, go.
No, I was just curious. So yeah, so you had that out, you get it in a way, and then just when you come back to LA and you're getting these gigs and you have these songs, um, like to never go in and produce them. Like, did you just kind of grow out of them, or you just had more songs that you wanted to move forward with? Like, where did?
Tried really hard. We had multiple people try my songs, but I couldn't get them to. I didn't have the musical knowledge, and I couldn't get them to sound how I had imagined them to sound,
Hmm.
and feel to feel as good as they did the day that I wrote them. I don't. Do you write songs as well?
I don't. I
Okay.
just my and I love music, and I had that same thing when I was a kid. Like I need to be in this industry somehow, and my in was through radio, and
Cool.
I did radio for like 15 years, closer to 20 years, and then it, with the pandemic, I had this podcast, and then the podcast did really, really well because everyone's at home, and the radio did not because no one's buying, cars down the road at whatever Chevy dealership that they're promoting on the air.
This is true.
So it's interesting now. I'll talk to interview artists that are younger, and they're like, what, like like the radio is just such a foreign, like worthless thing to them. Like,
Oh,
oh, what was it like hearing your song on the radio the first time? Like, what? Oh, sorry, I'm old, but yeah, no, it's funny, but uh I forgot where I was going with that, but sorry,
no,
yeah, I'm not a songwriter, that's what it was.
yes. Well, I don't know. Sometimes when you write a song and it has just this magic, that it has this magic and you feel the magic, and then the longer you have it, the less magic it sometimes has, at least for me, at least. I feel like, yeah, the first couple weeks that you have this new song, all the feelings that you had around it just like all accumulate, and it becomes this like special little time capsule. And then
Mhm.
yeah, the more you listen to it, the longer you have it, the less perception you have on the song. Is it a good song? I don't know. I gauge songs nowadays on like how I felt when I wrote it that day, because the longer I have it, I can grow to love a song, I can grow to hate a song.
Right. I mean, that's kind of what you have to do, right? Just think about it at that moment. Like, I'll
Yeah.
remember how proud I was of it at this time. The
At
only
this
thing I can relate to on that is like, in being on the radio, we'd get these records earlier, songs early, and we knew like, okay, this next week we'll be able to play this single or whatever. And then by the time next week, and then the first couple weeks later, I'm like, gosh, this song is so overplayed, or like I'm so over it now. And it's like people have
over
never heard it or they've heard it once. So like, it's just, I could feel, that's the only way I could relate, but I could see that happening. You're like, I've been playing this song for so long and it's out now, but like, do I have the same
Mhm.
you don't have the same attachment. It's almost like you just have to give it to everybody else.
Yeah, and it was hard to get a producer to see the vision, and I think I lost some of the vision because it had been so long of me trying to get it to a place where I felt like it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So those songs kind of fell through, which I feel terrible about because I don't like I feel like but it was a part of my journey, and it was part of my foundation. So they're really amazing songs, and even if nobody heard them, that's okay because they helped me.
Yeah, they're part of your story, and they got you where you are now.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I was just doing those live shows, and my sister had sort of hit a plateau, not as well, but I wasn't like getting anywhere further. I was just doing one show to the next. I wasn't like having like people being like, "Oh, I'm gonna manage you," or like, I just kept
just playing.
Yeah, I was just playing, and my sister, I think, at a young age, had been discovered by the same people that kind of developed Becky G.
Oh, okay.
And they really helped like develop an EP, and some things fell through with that. But she had already had like a really solid base of the music industry and recording, and she had started working with Scott Storch for a while and Tommy Brown, and I think she was this like young, beautiful, like Christina Aguilera belty kind of powerhouse vocalist at a really young age. And then when she hit like, I think her early 20s, or maybe like 19 or something, I think people stopped having as much interest in her as well. So
Which is weird. She's like, you're 19, you're aged out. Like what?
I mean, she's just been in the industry for a while, and it just hadn't happened yet. And we're really different. We're like very different people. We're like opposites, I would say. But we both loved music, and
you both can sing.
Yeah, we both can sing. We had the same upbringing. We had the same viewpoints. We had the same taste in a lot of ways. And yeah, she was doing more of like an R&B urban thing, and I was doing more like singer-songwriter music. We still like gravitated towards the same stuff a lot of the time. And so I think I was doing a show when somebody pretty close to us in the music industry was like, hey, you're really awesome and you're really awesome, but there's a lot of awesome individuals out there, and especially with the internet and how much visibility there is now, like there's a lot of talented people out there. Something that could make you guys different is that you guys are sisters and you both sing, and like trying a duo project might be worth your time. So we did that. And
what year was this? I'm just curious.
Right before the pandemic, and then into the pandemic.
Okay, so this is like end of 2019, 2020 ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we started doing some shows. We started songwriting with people we knew and doing sessions, and that's when we got signed to Flush Records.
Oh wow! Okay.
Duo. And we were just developing they really focused on like, they were like, before you guys like go out into the world or have a bunch of sessions, like we want to make sure that you actually are a duo. Like you need to have the chemistry of a duo. You've been so doing your own things for so long. Like let's just get you guys like doing like they would have us do like weekly performances for them.
Yeah, just kind of, can you gel together? Obviously you're sisters and like, but musically, yeah, right.
So we did that, and we were kind of frustrated at the time because we were like, we just want to like be writing and like moving forward, like stop testing us.
Right.
But it did end up making us like one. Like we really did like hit a pocket where we were in sync with each other. And then that's when we met Ron Fair, who did all the like old Christina Aguilera and some of the Britney and the Vanessa Carlton.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. What's that song? 10 something miles.
10,000 miles.
Miles. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he wrote that with her. I thought she was dating what's his face from Third Eye Blind at the time. So I was like, oh, he probably just helped her write it.
Ron didn't write it. He like, I think he executive produced it, and he heard the demo and was like, this has potential, and like made it what it is.
Oh, that's crazy. Okay, cool.
So we went to Nashville in the middle of the pandemic.
Really? That's where I'm at now. That's so cool that you came here.
Yeah. I love Nashville. It's so I would love to go there more and spend some time there.
There's a lot of cool songwriters here. It's not just a country town for sure.
Oh, it's amazing. I have some friends who went from NYU, moved to Nashville, and I'm just
Oh,
so
rad.
excited to go there. Um, but yeah, also like starting this duo project and then having it be the middle of the pandemic or the beginning of the pandemic, we were like right about to start doing those sessions and like really start like grinding on our music, and then the world shut down.
Right.
We were
I mean, to be in that position where this label's like, okay, we obviously we want to work with you. Let's see you guys kind of play for us and get some chemistry going. And then right as you're kind of building that momentum, the pandemic hits. Are you both like, does this allow more time to write together? Or are you like, oh my gosh, are we like, was it deflating or helpful?
We felt stuck at first, I think. Every producer was like, we're on a break, we're on a hiatus, we're not doing sessions, we're not doing Zoom sessions.
Oh, sure. I knew a lot of people that did not take kindly to the Zoom session thing.
Definitely not. Actually, I sort of liked it, but
I think I would too. I'm like, just roll over. Like, okay, I'm ready to write.
Yeah,
but you can't really, I guess, maybe get the same vibe or chemistry down.
Especially for, I think, let's say like you and I, you're a producer, and we like had a session and we like gelled that day a lot, and it was like a great session, and then we went off, and then the pandemic happened. You would know me and I would know you, and we could have a Zoom session because we kind of already have that foundation of like, oh, we work together, we know what each other
right
we know what we like. But for new artists trying to build new connections and work with new people, it was like they were like, I don't know if I want to do this with you over Zoom. Like, I'll work with people I've already worked with over Zoom.
Right. Yeah, because you don't know the person's energy or vibe or anything. It's like you have to spend the first so many minutes even like figuring out if this is going to work. And I would imagine like in a Zoom session like this is just like you pop up and they're like, okay, like, are you supposed to start working right away, or are you like the banter and the going for coffee break or whatever it is lost?
Yeah, exactly. It's so different. So we were stumped at first, and then we realized that all these bigger people who may have not had as much time in the past before pandemic were all of a sudden a lot more free.
Yeah, wide open.
We were able to get some sessions and some time with certain people that wouldn't have been able to do that, and just emails back from people. I'm like, wow, this person was willing to work with us at the time. They were like, oh, we should fly to London to work with us, and we were not, we're like, I don't know if that's what we should do or not, but it definitely like we were like, oh, maybe we could take this and use it as an opportunity. And that is when Ron introduced us to Jenna Andrews.
Oh, okay. So that you went to her as a duo.
Yeah, we went to her as a duo, and we did like a writing camp in her crazy, like I say it's like Wizard of Oz themed house, because there's like plastered monkeys on the walls, and like it's just like they have this basement that's like so colorful and wild, and there's green bean bags, and like everything's like fluffy and cozy, and
that's awesome.
In the middle of nowhere in Jersey, and you're just like not hear anything. But we went there and we wrote a bunch of really special songs during that trip as a duo.
Oh, wow. Okay. And just so people know who she is, like if they don't know, I interviewed her before, so you can watch that. But she wrote like Butter for BTS and Dynamite, and she worked to produce the whole new Dixie D'Amelio album, and she's just done worked with a million pop stars.
Yeah, a million, and she definitely really helped with the development of like Noah Cyrus and Lennon.
Oh, sure.
Which are artists that I really gravitated towards. So I think that's one of the reasons I was like, I feel like Jenna might be a good fit.
Yeah, and she's been she started off as an artist, and she's from Canada, right? And like and then she came down here, and now she's got like her own like label and like all this stuff going on, which is so rad. But you go to her house. Sorry, I'm
no, you're good.
Tangenting on her, but you go to her house to write, and that must have been a big thing. I mean, obviously you probably knew her work, and then you're there, and
Yeah, and it was kind of intimidating and scary. We were like, it was still really in the pandemic where people were afraid to hug each other, and we had to
Mhm.
get COVID tests before coming. And there was like, they were like, maybe we should do sessions outside so we don't have to worry about COVID and germs. And it was like really weird. And
Sure.
eventually, after like a couple days or so, we like were like, okay, we've all been near each other. Like
Right, like we're good. Screw
um,
it.
yeah, but it was me and Jenna and Cody. I forget Tar Play. Do you know him? He works on
No.
a lot of the Nessa Barrett stuff.
Okay.
Now. No. I'm sorry, not Nessa Barrett. Maggie Linderman.
Oh, Maggie Lindemann, she's awesome too. I've had
Yeah,
her on our show too. Yeah, she's great.
yeah. He was there, and we wrote the song called "Age of Depression" that hasn't come out yet, but it will come out, and it's the only song that's going to come out with me and my sister.
Oh, it is. I was okay. I was going to ask you about this. I was looking for it. I'm like, it was on like uh, some like a press release or something that I had about you, and I'm like, how come I can't find this song?
Um, yeah, but we wrote that song. We wrote a couple other things and ideas, and I left that trip just feeling like we were in the right hands with Jenna. Like
Mhm.
she's so wild and all over the place, but she comes from her heart, and
Mhm.
that's what we really loved. And just like working with a female vocal producer, it just felt like more comfortable
Mhm.
for us. Yeah, it just felt like we could be ourselves, and we had a lot in common, and it just felt like a good starting place.
Mhm.
So that's kind of when we started talking about her potentially executive producing. Um, and then, long story short, my my sister started feeling like music became more about, I think, the results of music, less than actually enjoying the process, and she just needed to
Mhm.
take a break. Um,
Mhm.
so she did, and she just kind of spent that time finding herself. And in that time, the label was like, "Well, we're still going to continue with you if you
Want to keep going.
want to keep going." And we did, and then all of a sudden, I have an EP.
Wow, was that a difficult choice or I'm sure it was a conversation obviously between you and your sister.
I think it was hard because I had spent the last 2 years telling everybody that the reason I am special is because I'm in a duo with my sister. And
Mhm.
I was not like, before that I wasn't worthy of the time and energy of all these real professional people. But now that I'm in a duo, I am. So then going backwards to being like, I'm okay and I'm enough just as I am,
Uh-huh.
um, was hard at first. And I was like, can I write a can I write a song by myself? I've been writing with her in every session for so many months. I was kind of scared and intimidated, and I was like when we were in sessions, it was like if I didn't have an idea, she did. If she didn't have an idea, I did. So we really had each other's, um,
Like
like
backs and stars.
yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah.
yeah.
I had a partner, I had a teammate,
Mhm.
and it felt vulnerable then going into sessions by myself. But I think the first real trip I had as a solo artist to like go write a bunch of songs was another trip to Jenna's. Um, and I went by myself, and I didn't know really what it was going to look like or what it was going to be, but I had a bunch of sessions um, that she had scheduled with me all over Zoom. So we would be together, and then a producer or another songwriter would be. Um,
Oh, on the Zoom. Oh,
uh,
that's cool though. At least you had that familiarity. I
yeah,
think that's how I say it. With her hanging out, and you had already had a relationship with her that you and songs that you had written with her.
yeah,
So being with her, like somebody that's like at this level in the industry, to kind of be there to,
yeah.
facilitate the Zoom, I'm sure was very helpful.
And in the midst of all that, she was dealing with all the BTS butter stuff. So like back and forth, there was like there was like the little studio that I was in, and then there was a studio on the other side of the house, and there was people set up in like another corner of the house, and we were like, she was like jumping like all over trying to get everything done at the same time, because literally like right when she was vocal producing the butter stuff was when I was there. So it was like we were like staying up crazy hours, and like she was working with them at like 6 in the morning sometimes, and it was wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but that was the trip that I wrote Die in LA.
Oh, okay.
I was on Zoom with Doug Schatt, and it was like we had like 2 sessions that trip on Zoom.
Hmm.
And the first session went good, but like we didn't have anything that was like whoa. It was good, but it wasn't like whoa. And then the second session, we had been talking for like I think a good like hour or two about LA and my home and my family, and I don't even remember how it like came up, but I had said like I want to get away and like see more of the world, and I feel like I'm trapped by my hometown.
Hmm.
And I think that's where the idea kind of started. And so we wrote the majority of the song, just me and Doug.
Wow.
And I immediately was like, this song feels special.
Hmm.
And then yeah, Jenna came in later that night and was like, whoa. And like she did her magic, added her tweaks, and we ended up like vocal producing like a crazy harmony arrangement around the whole song that night with
Wow.
our other friend Steven, who also worked on the BTS stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that's how that song came to be. And then we were actually working on this other song that we were all more excited about. Like we were all like, oh my god, this is it, like this has the magic. And it's so funny because that song, in the end, I like got home from the trip and I was like, I don't think I like this song. Not as like I like the song, but I don't think I like it for me.
Oh, interesting.
And the Die in LA was like just kept getting stronger and stronger, as like this is so everything I've ever wanted to say in
Hmm.
a song. So it was funny how that happened. We like were hopping. I have so many videos of us hopping around to the other song, and not Die in LA, but Die in LA like just kept growing in my love and adoration.
Was the other song on? Will that make the EP, or
It
it's
won't.
just it just kind of lives out there now? It's not going to come out.
I don't think so, unless another artist takes it or we do some tweaks. There are definitely some really cool parts to it, but it felt a little bit too much like, um, what's the band? I don't have an exact band, but it feels
Hmm.
like some. Have you been to the Rise Festival?
Yes, I
It
haven't
feels
been, but I
like,
know what it is.
oh yeah, it's where they like light all the lanterns and everybody
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
kind of like uplifting, kind of like um, music, and it felt like a song that you would hear at the Rise Festival.
Got you.
And it was awesome, and kind of it was about my experience like moving on from my first adult apartment and saying goodbye to all these memories, saying goodbye to being a duo, it was like a new chapter. It was a song about
Hmm.
starting a new chapter,
Okay.
but it just didn't resonate with me in the end. So that song will not probably make my project, but we could always do some tweaks and change them,
Sure.
future holds.
Yeah. So
Uh,
Die in LA was but that's interesting that that was the first one, and then that becomes the first real song that you put out as, I'm Hunter Daly and this is my project, and here, this is me.
yeah. I mean, we had wrote a bunch of songs prior to that, but that was the first song that I was like, this is Hunter Daly.
Okay.
Um, and I was so lucky. It was funny because um, Doug was actually supposed to be the only producer on that song. But Rob Grimaldi, who was working on the BTS stuff in the other room, came in that day and heard that song and was like, send me the stems. And he like sent him the stems, and he like just like fully produced the song without anybody asking him to. And he just like produced the song, and that is what his actual piano stems is what became like the kind of like um heartbeat of the
Oh,
production.
really? Okay.
And M Phases came on later and also added some stuff to it. Who, I don't know if you've ever talked to him or worked with him, but he's amazing.
No, I haven't. Let's check them
Um,
out.
he's really talented. and good, and he produced our song Age of Depression with my sister. So
Okay.
I worked with him, and I was like, oh, he's really good. He can definitely add all the like things that'll help elevate this song, and
Hmm.
that's why. I mean, it's a combination of all three of those boys, but the production ended up how it is now.
That's so cool. And the most recent one before it falls apart, that
Yeah.
one was written in this like a similar time period, or was that much later down the
Oh.
line? Like, so after Die in LA comes out, like how many more songs or what has gone on between then and then this song coming out?
After Die in LA was written, it took a really long time for us to get it produced fully.
Hmm.
Everything feels like, for me, I don't know if some other artists out there like feel differently, where they can just like write a song and then somebody produces it and it's amazing, and then somebody mixes it and it's amazing. Like I haven't had that experience yet. Like it's mostly been like, oh, try this. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, maybe we need to nudge this way. And so everything takes time. And I was also learning so much about like how to um,
Right. And you're
converse with.
kind of finding you're finding your sound. Like, you have the song that you're like, okay, and you've kind of been pushed all over the place. Like, you're a solo, you'd be better as a duo, and then it's like the duo
Yeah,
doesn't work, and it's like now you're a solo. So you're kind of been thrown all these directions. But maybe an artist that has 3 albums out, it's easier for them to be like, okay, here's a song, and then there it is. But
you
it
also
sounds
have
like you
all
have to
those.
fall in that rhythm.
Yeah, you have all those relationships and those experiences. You're like, oh, I know this guy John is really good with like, yeah, like finishing touches on production. I know this guy is really good at like starting this. I know this songwriter is really good with this types of songs. Like you build those relationships and you kind of learn where people fit and
Ye-
are good, and you
yeah,
know.
and your sound, you can just reach. You know who to go
Yeah.
to for certain things.
And you know how to communicate better. You know how to say like, "Oh, the kick feels funny." Like,
Hmm.
it should be less like four on the floor, and maybe like this time signature. Like you learn those things as you go, but it takes time. And I didn't really have anybody to give me guidance on that. Like Jenna is amazing, and she has really good feedback and really great vocal. Like she knows what you need to deliver a great vocal. Um,
Hmm.
but as far as like production, she's not like a real like she's not gonna sit there and make the beat.
Right.
Uh, although she probably could. She's incredible.
Yeah, yeah, but that's not. She's focusing more on that. I mean, that's where
Yeah,
she
on the
like shines.
songwriting.
Obviously, like songwriting and the vocal production. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, she's produced for so many. I mean, Little Nas X. I mean, the list is insane that
Oh,
she's worked with. But it's like, so why? Yeah, when she's
yeah.
doing something that she's great at in these two
Yeah.
lanes, like she has people that she goes, okay, you can work on. I need you to do
Yeah.
this.
But I didn't have anybody like a mentor or anything to go to get that feedback, to be like, what does this need? It's missing something. I don't know how to describe it, and I didn't know enough about production at the time. I still don't. I'm learning all the time, but I didn't
Hmm.
know then what. Like sometimes I'd hear a song, or we get a song back, and it was like so close. It was like 70% there, and I just didn't know how to communicate how to get it to the 80% or the
Hmm.
90% of where I was like really happy. So a lot of songs like kind of went like this and then fell off because I wasn't able to communicate, and my team wasn't able to communicate either. So that was tricky, but the more I do it, the more I learn. And then as far as Before It Falls Apart, I ended up Jenna's. Uh, I forget what he was, her old manager, but he runs, I think, her publishing company.
Hmm.
He had set me up with a session with this boy friend group in LA. David Shaman, Matt Hall, and Orion. I forget Orion's last name. Uh, but I like showed up to a session one day, and I was with these three boys, and we just like instantly hit it off, and connected and clicked. And that day, I think I had something like, I think I had some story to tell like right off the bat, and it just like flowed. And so we just kept doing sessions, and I think the first session we wrote a good song, but it wasn't as good as the ones to come. And then second session, we wrote this song called "Don't Fall Asleep," which is one of my favorites, and it's gonna come out soon, as well.
Okay, cool.
It's so fun and beachy and kind of just like a good vibe. Kind of has like some Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac influences and some Casey Musgraves, and I'm really happy about it. And then after that, we wrote Before It Falls Apart. And I don't know, I don't even know how we ended up picking Before It Falls Apart to go second. But I think that was just like a team discussion, and one day we were like, okay, this feels good.
Well, it's a great song. I'm interested to hear, because you said the other one's kind of like a beachy, like upbeat. Because Die in LA and Before It Falls Apart are both very somber, like songs, right?
Yes. Yeah, I actually have a hard time writing not that. I feel like that comes way more easy to me, writing somber, like sad girl, folky pop songs. And writing the up-tempo song is like so hard for me. It's just like I'm drawn to the more emotional song.
Mm-hmm.
But Don't Fall Asleep is really fun. And it would be like a really good summer song, but it's gonna come out. I don't even know when it's gonna come out, but sometime soon.
Okay. So
Yeah.
do you have a full EP then that's ready? And are you going to put it out as EP, or like, because a lot of people are just doing, you play the singles and you let the single go and then do a video and the whole like package that way?
I think we're doing more so that way,
Mm-hmm.
but we're going to probably release like whatever the last 2 songs on the EP are together and then collect it into the EP. Also, like, I don't know these things. I feel like my label knows what they know, but like as far I don't have a lot of people that I like to talk to. I'm like, what should I do? What's the best marketing strategy?
Right.
Just going with impulses and talking to my team and taking their word on things and just trying things. But right now they're like, yeah, I do believe it. Like this world is really about like consistency and being out there, and so I think not putting everything out at once and really just releasing things one at a time, letting each song have its moment, is a good choice.
Oh, I agree. Especially in this day and age of like, things are happening so fast. Like, I mean, you think 5 years back, TikTok wasn't a thing. Like, I mean, and like it was like Hype Machine was the big deal. If you were like the #1 Hype Machine song, every label was attracted to you. Or now it's Spotify and, TikTok. It's just, it moves so quick. And especially as a new artist, you want people to hear every song. If you put a whole album out, it'd be harder to get people to consume the entire piece.
Also, I like, there are certain artists and I'm like, oh, they had an album out, and I only heard their one song that came out in that 1 month. I just feel like let every song have its moment is probably good, especially in this time where everything is about like it's all about like product and consumption, and like there's so much. It's like honestly overwhelming. I'm like TikTok and Instagram and all of it, and having to post on all the different platforms recently has been like just like racking my brain. I'm like, I have to post on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, and like there's just so much. I'm like, this is like a full-time job. I want to be sitting in my couch like writing a song, or like being at a session or being at my rehearsal, and I'm spending like way more time than I should posting about like certain releases on my Instagram account or TikTok or whatever.
Right. But you have to do it. It's like a double-edged sword. Like, that's the one thing I'm bad at too. Like, I don't have the love for doing social media and posting videos and these things about myself. And I'm like, but other people like love it. Like, that's their life. They could just like, Lifeline is the phone. For me, it's like, that's like the hardest thing.
So hard. And I also feel like, I don't know, I feel like I got really comfortable with the Instagram platform. I figured out what I want to showcase on Instagram, and I don't know if I figured that out on TikTok yet. I've been doing it for a while, but I don't know if I found like, who I want to be, or what service I want to bring to the world on TikTok. I don't think anybody knows. It's just like something will land and it's like, all right, we're gonna run with that. It's tough. And I definitely don't want to get caught into the like, I have a lot of friends doing like covers on TikTok, and they're blowing up and everything, mashups, and they're doing so good, but I'm like I want my song. I want my song. Right, because then what? Then you put because I've seen that too, where somebody's like, their covers are just killing, and then they put out their own song, and then just like no one cares, and it's like, well, you want to be known as the
die in LA and, before it falls apart, not, oh, Hunter does a great cover of a, Christina Aguilera song.
Yeah.
But I love what you're doing. I love those two songs, and the videos are amazing, are really well done and put together. Like, did you shoot those? Because there's obviously the gap between Die in LA and then putting out the new one. Were
Yeah.
those videos shot close to each other, or not at all? Or
Close-ish, but
okay,
not with the same person, not with the same director, and I'm also learning that. So I feel like as an artist, I've gotten a little bit more comfortable and feel like I have my feet in the ground with my music and my sound and production and communicating and all those things. But now the other side of the world, the releasing, the promoting all the assets, like that stuff is like whole new field. It's like I had never, I mean, I had done a music video before when I was much younger, but for the one song that I put out right in high school. But I had
the one that you took down and no one will ever be able to
no one
find.
will ever see it. But yeah, it's a whole new field. And it's crazy because I've been acting for so long, and I've been a part of, like, I write in my free time. I like write scripts with friends, and like I love being creative in that way. And I've written short films, and I've like planned on filming them, and maybe hadn't gotten to it. So when I started doing the music videos, I was like really excited, but also overwhelmed because there are so many things I don't know about like that world, and I think I'm a perfectionist. But I really wanted to like have these music videos be able to incorporate my acting too. And so far, I don't know if they have been.
Really? I feel like they do.
Oh, well,
Especially the new one. I mean, like the whole thing is you are really acting, and you're watching the video of this marriage happening, and like it just.
That is my parents' wedding video, by the way.
Is it really? Wow. Okay. I didn't want to ask, but okay. Wow.
My mom like texted me like the week before the music video we were gonna shoot. We were still planning on what we were gonna do and shots. I actually shot Before It Falls Apart music video with my sister's ex-fiance, who's a video director, and he's very close to our family, and they're still friends. And I just felt like I really wanted to go with somebody that I knew cared about me and our family.
Sure.
I had previous experiences working with people that I felt like maybe were in it without their full heart or full commitment, and I was like, I just feel like if I work with Austin Simpkins, Salty State, who's a director, he will put his whole heart into it because I know he does that with everything that he does. So we worked on it together, but we were still planning out, and I liked because I was able to I feel like when you're working with a stranger, you don't really know where you're allowed to step in, where you're allowed to say things. Especially with the director, like you want to give them their space to do what they want to do and to have their creative vision. But I feel like I also shut my mouth sometimes in that and trying to make them happy or whatever.
Right. And it's your product at the end of the day. I mean, it's your face, it's your song, it's you're in the video. People, it represents you, right? I mean, it's not you're not an actor in a short film that this person's directing. So you coming in and being like, I don't know if this line really worked. Like that would be a little different than this is your art and your music.
So I felt like in the past that was something I didn't do as much, and I really wanted to now. And with Austin, because he's like a brother to me,
right?
So I was able to like communicate and speak up, and I was able to say like, a week before the video, my mom was like, oh my god, I found my wedding footage. I've never seen this footage before. Like my old best friend like had it on a camera and found it.
Whoa.
And I know. And she sent it to me, and it was like 45 minutes long of their entire wedding. And I've heard stories about, so they had two weddings.
Okay.
One of the weddings, my dad and her had known each other for 3 weeks, and we were in Vegas together, and he was like, do you want to get married? And she was like, like,
okay. Like a shotgun type wedding situation.
Yeah. And he was like, okay, heads we get married, tails we don't. And like had a coin, flipped it, and flipped and flipped and flipped, landed on heads.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. They got married. And then later, I think like I was conceived sometime soon, if not maybe that day.
Okay.
And they had another wedding. My mom was pregnant at the wedding, so she had this cute little like half short dress, half
Oh,
long
that's
dress.
awesome. My wife was pregnant at our wedding too, so big ups.
Yeah, we love that. We love that. And so they had a secondary wedding, and secondary wedding is what they filmed, and or had filmed. And so I got to like witness this thing that I've heard about so many times, and like see so many weird moments of like my parents. I think only lasted like maybe we were married for 3 years total.
Okay.
I never grew up seeing like them in love, or like I don't
Sure.
remember that.
Right.
I know
So
it happened.
they divorced when you were young.
Yeah, I think they still
Yeah.
like on and off for years, but
Sure.
like always kind of secretive, always kind of shady. My dad was
Hmm.
seeing younger girls and other people, and my mom was seeing other people too. And so I just remember them being separated.
Sure.
Um, and I feel like, yeah, so it definitely put like an interesting view of love in my mind. And that's actually kind of where the song Before It Falls Apart came to be. Like it started with, I feel like I have a very pessimistic viewpoint in love, because whereas like some friends of mine like had those healthy relationship parents, or had people around them that had like real like long lasting love, I was like, love is not, it's not meant to last. That's kind of my mentality my whole life growing up. So I was kind of pessimistic. And then going forward with relationships, I felt like, I don't know, I felt like I just was expecting doom. I was like, okay, so is this the moment it's gonna turn bad and we're gonna start hating each other, or is this the
Sure.
moment we start hating each other? I couldn't figure it out, and I was sort of self-sabotaging my relationships, and whether they knew it or not, like in my brain I was like sort of just like,
Yeah,
why?
you're already prepared for it to not
I'm
work out.
prepared for the worst. Yeah,
Right.
all times. I'm like, okay. So that's where Before It Falls Apart sort of came from, as far as like the song. But then we found that footage, and I was like, we have to put this in the second verse, because I talk about my mom in the second verse.
Yeah. So, oh wow, and that's how wild is it that she found that, and then that, I mean, how to be vulnerable enough on for both of you to put that on there, right?
I asked her, I was like, do you feel comfortable? And she was like, it's art, honey. Like, it's okay. And I was
That's
like,
cool. Yeah, yeah, having an artistic mom that's just like, yeah, for sure, whatever. Like that's so
kind
right.
of
I mean,
broke
going
my
back to
heart.
earlier, not being afraid to share lyrics and stuff with her, it's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
No, it definitely kind of broke my heart, but because it's sad. It's like my mom never remarried. Um,
Hmm.
the line is like, maybe I learned it from my mother because she didn't find another, so I'm afraid
Hmm.
that I'll end up alone. Um, and my mom has had like plenty of boyfriends and stuff, but she just I don't think she ever found like her person. And
Hmm.
yeah, so I was like, I don't even know if I feel good. I like, even sharing the song with her, I was a little more
Like reserved about it.
reserved. Yeah, but she understands, and she's an artist, and she loves me, and she is gonna find the one.
I was
So
gonna say, it's plenty of time, right?
yeah, so if you know anyone,
I'll send some people over.
okay.
I hope I'm not that old. Or
No,
I'm just
no.
kidding.
You never know. Like
You're like,
people.
some of your friends.
No, 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 no,
I'm just
no.
kidding.
I'm all about asking people, because I mean that's the way to go. I'm not about the dating app world
Oh
nowadays.
yeah, that seems like such a nightmare.
Yeah.
Not even, yeah. I was just messing with you. No, that's that she's gonna find. I mean, yes, that's so. But were you, when you were watching it, was that emotional? I mean,
The
just even
video?
see the video, yeah, the
Oh
first
my god.
time.
The first time I saw the actual footage, like I got to see my dad like kind of like googly eyed over my mom, which is something I never saw. Like I don't remember that. So even just, it feels like a paradox reality just watching it. I was like, oh my god, he was enamored by her. Like she sang at the wedding, at her own wedding. It's so cute. Um, and I forget what song it was, some romantic song, and my dad's just like, whoa. And I didn't put that in the video, but I just like, it was really, it was super emotional, and just like wild to get to see this like super personal, intimate moment that I wasn't even born for. So how could I have ever seen? But I've heard about it, and it was awesome and so special. And I just felt like the timing was so like I was writing this song and I was about to put it out and we were gonna do a video, and then this thing just like fell into my lap.
Yeah, it's like perfect. It like yeah, it's like
Yeah.
total full circle. Like it was meant to happen.
Yeah. So I was really happy that it did come to my lap. I loved seeing that, and I think that it's a little nice. It's a nice little like golden nugget that's in the video. That maybe if people don't know, they're like, oh, it's just a wedding video, but it is my parents' wedding video. So
Wow, that's special though. Like, yeah, I didn't want to, just
yeah,
out of your own privacy, didn't want to ask, but I think that's cool. I mean, just to hear the whole story of it kind of going that way, and as far as the song goes, and then having that video and uh, putting it all in the music video, which is so vulnerable for the both of you. It's a great video as well. So you have the two songs that you said the next one is going to be the one with your sister.
no, the
Oh
next one
no.
is a song called Skeleton Key. That actually, what? Okay, so this song was not a song that I as Hunter thought I was gonna put out on the CP, because it was a song my sister and I wrote about her breakup.
Okay.
And she was on the original version of it. We it was like a song before Die in LA was even written. It was just something written for our duo project.
Okay.
Um, that was about her breakup, and I liked the song a lot, but I felt like I felt like it was her story.
Mhm.
And I was like, no, the EP should be my stories and my point of view, because it's like my coming out. It's like, this is
Right.
um, but the more I spent time with it, and the more I sang it live, because it was really fun to sing live, the more I realized it sort of transformed in my mind to being the song that was about my sister and I's duo breakup.
Oh.
And that's what it reminds me of. That's how I think of it. I was like, this is one of the last songs we did together as sisters, and now I get to
Mhm.
sing it as it's like, yeah, it's about a breakup, but in my mind it became about like sort of the end of that time, and
The end of that relationship as
end
a
of that relationship,
yeah.
which had fully taken a part of my identity for a while. And the line is like, the chorus is like, the wildfire burned blue that night you saw me die in the neon light. When you left, it took every part of me. You're a broken lock. I'm a skeleton key, which is like yeah, even if you have a skeleton key, and it's like supposed to open every lock, if the lock is broken, it doesn't matter. And that's just like the metaphor it was for like two people just not really working out in this period of time.
That's beautiful. Wow. I can't. I love it, the songs you have out. I wish I could hear more. I can't wait to hear more.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love what you're doing. And you're are you still doing shows, or have you
Yeah.
played any shows just out? I mean,
I've
after the fact, as now as just Hunter
yeah,
Daily.
I've been doing as many shows as I can do. I think I'm still so busy, but I definitely want to be prepared as possible for doing bigger shows, and I feel like the only way to get comfortable on a stage is to do shows. So like after I think 3 years of not playing at all because of the pandemic, I
Hmm.
think a couple months ago, maybe like 5 or 6 months ago, I started doing shows again. And I'm trying to do at least once a month just to keep my chops up.
Hmm.
And I'm hoping to get to do some bigger shows soon. But I've been doing a lot of like Hotel Cafe. I played We Found New Music last week. Um, yeah, so I'm out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you need to come play here in Nashville.
I would love that.
We have a venue for you,
Oh,
ready to go.
oh,
Dead
amazing,
serious.
amazing.
So you're welcome anytime. And thank you so much for doing this today. Like this has been so much fun. I appreciate your vulnerability and just I love your story and I love what you're doing. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
I have one more quick question before I let you go though. Do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
Um, yeah. My advice is to believe in yourself and to keep believing in yourself and fighting for what you love. I think it's really easy to start comparing, and I know like it's easier said than done to be the racehorse that keeps their blinders on, and that's like a metaphor, or not a metaphor, like a saying that the racehorses all have blinders, because when they start like seeing the other horses, it like throws them off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that with so much social media, it's really easy to start comparing yourself and being like, well, this person's there and this person's doing this, and if I had believed all the things that I had been told in my life, or like my experiences, or just like kind of like leaned into the feelings of not being enough, like I wouldn't be where I am. But it's because I just kept like following the things that light me up, and believing in myself that I am here now and at a place where I have songs that are able to be shared with the world. And yeah, I really don't think I was like that little girl that was like, oh, you're the star, you're gifted, you're the star, you're the one. Like, it wasn't like that for me. So to all those people who are also not that, I would like to be, and hopefully some sort of inspiration, because I wasn't that. I was the opposite. I was the girl that was like maybe a little more shy, and that I really had to believe in myself for other people to believe in me. So it comes from within. Bringing it backwards.